Hi, everyone. So a quick presentation about LivePerson. What we do is with our OpenStack. So LivePerson is a SaaS company. Our mission is making meaningful real-time connections through live engagement using various ways of communication, chat, voice, mobile, marketing, etc. Some interesting facts about LivePerson. We are a big data company, open source adopters, continuous integration and delivery to production, and using a bleeding edge technology in enterprise scale. This is some of the technologies that we are using today. It's only part of it. As you can see, Puppet end-to-end. Hadoop, we have 2.5 petabytes in production, and a lot of other things that are really exciting in LivePerson. So regarding LivePerson's OpenStack, so we're using the Ubuntu distro, deployed using Puppet. We started with the OpenStack 2.5 years ago. The first distro, the first version that was out in production was SX, although we started investigating and researching with Cacti. We have 7 data centers that are deployed OpenStack with. It's 70% of LivePerson infrastructure is OpenStack, based on OpenStack. That means that 100% of our services are using the OpenStack. So this is a really big thing for us. We have something like 2,500 instances in production and in dev, and something around 400 hosts. We are currently running on Havana. We upgraded a couple of months ago, and we are looking at, of course, now upgrading to Icehouse. And currently testing in our labs is Cloudify for orchestration on top of the OpenStack, Heat, and Ceph for the storage. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to say is that using this opportunity.
Okay, and one thing, so for everyone who wants to really know how to run OpenStack in production, do come across with Kobe and talk to him about it. I think he's the most advanced use case and deployment of OpenStack in Israel. We'll do that next, based on the order of the chair. So Omri, you're probably going to be next. So hopefully can be ready here. Oops. I wonder of Windows. Okay, we'll try to see it from the browser. Maybe that will work. Want to try it from here, Omri? Okay, so let's grab someone else, and then we'll pick up. So where's it going? From Mellanox.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm Erez from Mellanox. As you all agree with me, I guess, data is growing. It's growing very quickly. And everyone here in the audience with his cell phone contribute to this trend. We all upload high-definition videos, images, wearable computing, data, Internet of Things. All of this contribute to the growth of data in the world. In order to use this data, one needs a very high bandwidth, low latency, and efficient interconnect to connect all the data sources, the storage, and the compute to make value out of this data to the end user in the end. This is exactly what Mellanox is doing. Mellanox is building a very efficient, high bandwidth interconnect that connects all those things together in a very efficient manner and basically make the network the beeping heart of the cloud. Mellanox is operating in many verticals, but the fastest growing vertical is cloud, because we believe that the data center is moving into the cloud. CloudX is our reference architecture for a cloud that is based on open source software and off-the-shelf storage and server building blocks, which is accelerated by Mellanox Interconnect, and by that enable us to achieve very high efficiency out of the cloud. The most focused of our work today is done around OpenStack as the open source, the main open source cloud software. In terms of advantages, there are many. I will touch a few of the advantages of using Mellanox Interconnect as the backbone of the cloud. Mainly around performance. You can see a few things that we are doing. For example, around storage, we're accelerating block storage, the Cinder project, using an RDMA protocol, which is a network transport service, which generate a very high bandwidth, very high IOPS rate for storage. We are using technologies such as SRIOV, which enables the VM to basically provide near bare metal performance directly from a VM. We're accelerating overlay networks such as VXLAN and NVGRE. So all of this makes the cloud much more efficient. We're also focusing around automation, so we're integrating our plugins into OpenStack so that it can be used seamlessly. We're deploying Puppet and Chef in our switch systems so that you can use them in a much more efficient way. And we're utilizing a lot of our experience from very large scale clouds and clusters in the range of the 10,000s and more nodes to enable a very high efficient scalability and multi-tenancy that governs by hardware, both isolation and security. We are working with the leading cloud providers in the world, Red Hat, Mirantis, Canonical, obviously, and we are seeing very nice growth. So as a conclusion, we are basically Mellanox is reducing the cost of using compute and storage infrastructure in the cloud. We're enabling application to use much more data at real time to get conclusions and make business decisions faster. We have several clouds deployed for development purposes, including here in Israel, we have 2, and in the US and Asia. This is for developers, startups that would like to try them. You're more than welcome to contact me or anybody from the Mellanox team for access to those systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Erez. And I'm very excited to invite Omri with his laptop. So while Omri is setting up, Omri was actually ex-LivePerson, and I've been kind of escorting him through his work and career. And from what I've read on his slides, his new startup sounds fascinating. So it should be just, this should be in here. Yep. So I think it's pretty exciting to have a startup on OpenStack. It's not that common, unfortunately. And Omri will tell us more about what they're doing with OpenStack in a startup.
Okay, so just a little bit about Revizer and what we do. So Revizer is a startup. I think we've created the startup about a year and a half ago. Well, I've joined it about 6 months ago, coming from LivePerson. What we do is actually we combine, well, 2 separate areas, one for developers and one for advertisers. We're an ad company. We allow developers to monetize on their websites, toolbars, anything like that. And for advertisers, we actually give them traffic, so we're kind of a marketplace for both. we're actually advancing into new areas in the future, and obviously, well, you'll see in the future what we do, obviously. A little bit about Revizer. We're located in Rothschild. You can see the ocean from our offices. It's really nice. We drink a lot of coffee. We grew from about 20 employees a year ago to around 80. Actually, it's 89 today. And our CEO gets to work on the bicycle. As an ex-LivePerson employee and a guy heavily involved in OpenStack, I am actually a pretty large believer in OpenStack and the ecosystem, and I've actually watched it evolve from like a really small community in the first conference 2.5 years ago into what it is today. I think the first conference in Israel 2 years ago was a lot smaller. A lot less people came, so it's actually nice to see that it's growing. And as a believer in OpenStack, well, one of my first initiatives when I joined the company was to see how we can integrate OpenStack into our systems. So right now we have a, well, obviously small deployment, around 10 servers in 3 different data centers with around 100 and something virtual instances. And we're actually trying to integrate it into our production systems. Currently, most of it is hardware, so we're less virtualized today because of latency and other requirements that we need for OpenStack itself, or actually, sorry, for our servers itself, which OpenStack in its current situation, I'm not sure exactly how we can make it work the same way that we want to. We're actually experimenting with a lot of technologies and different layers. So once we're actually comfortable enough with OpenStack and the performance, we'll actually put in all our performance, all our servers, and not only like the smaller servers that we have. So we're going, right now we're using it for like MySQL and like smaller services that are less critical for our infrastructure, and the rest is physical. So as like a really small startup, the reason that we chose OpenStack, other than well, the fact that I used OpenStack at LivePerson with a lot of success, is that I do see the future that when we need to grow, like the correct direction to go with is OpenStack. It looks like, first of all, it's matured vastly in the past year, and it's actually looking like a more viable product every version, and I do think we can actually integrate it into our environment other than like what we're doing it today. In addition to that, we're actually using it heavily in our development environment. So every instance for developers is launched using the console. They actually have access to like launch their own instances, and it's actually pretty easy to manage capacity that way. They just have their own limits, and we know that they can't really cross them. So we're doing a lot with OpenStack today, even though it's a really small company, I guess.
Thanks very much, Omri. Very exciting. Next in line, we got Yaki from Alcatel, who is actually using OpenStack for quite a while. Let me just unplug you. And we'll go back here. It's yours.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Yuki Arbel. I do product management for Alcatel-Lucent Cloudband, and I have about 5 minutes to talk to you about NFV, Cloudband, and OpenStack. So let's start with Alcatel-Lucent. Alcatel-Lucent, I hope some of you already know, is a global telecom equipment vendor. When you in the audience, and I mean literally you, pick up your phone, your call goes most likely through Alcatel-Lucent equipment in the mobile backbone. Now, 3.5 years ago, Alcatel-Lucent decided to build right here in Israel the Cloudband business unit and focus it on network function virtualization, NFV. So before I explain what is NFV, how many of you work for a telecom service provider or have worked? Not many hands in the air, if at all. So for the benefit of those of you that don't, let me tell you a little bit about how telecom equipment is being sold, right? So it's equipment, literally. So this equipment is put in trucks and sold as boxes in data centers, in the service providers' data centers, which are called central offices. And if you had the opportunity to step into one of these data centers, you would see hundreds of kinds of boxes from dozens of vendors. Each box has its own operational procedures, trained personnel, spare parts. You get the picture. So now that we have the cloud, service providers are saying to themselves, why don't we build our own distributed private cloud and run those boxes as workloads on top of this cloud? Makes sense, right? So we will be able to save CapEx. Of course, moving from expensive custom hardware to COTS hardware definitely saves money. But beyond that, the move to software would enable the use of automation. If we look at how things are done today, for example, if you need to do a capacity upgrade or you need to fix equipment, you have to send a truck with technicians to a remote central office and do the trick. Now, with NFV, you'd be able to do it with a click of a button, like I guess most of you do today with your public or private cloud deployment. Makes perfect sense, but not quite simple, because if you look at the requirements for such a cloud, those requirements include massive distribution, handling the network connections over the WAN, meeting strict performance requirements, availability, reliability, security requirements that are not quite the same for public and private clouds that we have today. So this is where Cloudman comes into play, cloud management orchestration. So the Cloudman product portfolio consists of two product lines. The first one is Cloudman orchestration, and the second one is the Cloudman node. The Cloudman node is a data center in a box, a software stack that includes everything from the hypervisor to the distributed storage system, management, monitoring, and the OpenStack itself. You only have to run the script, make a few selections, and there you have it, an OpenStack cloud that you can run workloads on top of. Now, the Cloudman orchestration, before I explain what it is, let me go 1 minute back and let us remember how a typical NFV deployment looks like, right? Imagine that you have dozens of data centers, thousands of physical servers, hundreds of thousands of workloads, all distributed throughout a big region, interconnected through the WAN. And now imagine that I have to deploy my mission-critical telecom application on top of it. Right, I have to take care of deploying it in the right data centers. I have to take care of load sharing, high availability, take care of configuring the network to meet the required SLAs, taking care that I have the right hardware to meet the performance SLAs, connecting to the BSS, to the OSS, to put the triggers in place for the service providers, all that. Right, so this is the role of the Cloudman orchestration system, which is a policy-based system to do all these things. So to describe the operation flow in a very brief and abstract way, so an application developer simply has to model its application in our PaaS layer. He does it only once. And then when time comes to deploy this application, the application owner in the service provider simply selects this application from the service catalog, applies the relevant policies that needs to be applied, and Cloudman management system takes these policies alongside the policies set before that by the cloud owner. Remember that we're talking about a multi-tenant environment, right? And it configures the networks as needed and deploys the application on the relevant OpenStack instances. And of course, you can imagine all this is done in a similar way when we're talking about different lifecycle events like upgrade, scaling, and so on and so forth. So before we conclude, let us take one step back. When we were here last year, we told you that we have a few lab trials at NFV customers. This year, we are pleased to see that many more customers have moved even beyond lab trials and actually are moving towards live deployments of NFV, limited at this stage, but still this year. So we are positive that the trend is real, and if we look at NFV, we believe this is the next frontier for OpenStack. Now I really conclude, right? So we're hiring top talent only. So for those of you interested, please feel free to connect with us or talk with me directly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next in line is Era Samir from Wind River, also representing Intel here.
So, hello everyone. Maybe before we start, let's see the slides here. So a few words about Wind River. So I'm guessing some of you are familiar with the Wind River already, with the brand or with the name. So Wind River was established actually back in 1981 as an embedded tool and the operating system company. So I'm guessing some of you in the cloud may know VxWorks, which was our flagship for many years. I think the most compelling event or the most influencing event in the life of the company was 5 years ago, actually, in 2009, when the company was actually purchased by Intel. So Wind River is actually now 100% Intel company. So Intel was, looking at the market back then in 2009 and saw where the telecom market is headed. And this purchase was actually part of their strategy to complement their hardware solutions with a software solution, which will enable them both acceleration and a foot actually in the NFV in the OpenStack world. So this is done through Wind River, which actually what we do is we do software. So, quick view of about the challenges of the telecom market. So I'm guessing that most of you are familiar with what is represented here. So you see the dramatic increase in traffic. You see that as traffic is increasing very dramatically over the years, also the TCO, the total cost of ownership of our customers, the service providers, is growing. And one of the main problems is that the revenue we get out of each of our customer is actually is increasing, but less and less dramatically. So we are looking actually at 3 main challenges. So how do we do with traffic? So, we are trying to go with we are going now with the multi-core technologies. We're trying to shorten the time that it takes us to develop a product by doing all sorts of cooperation, and we'll speak about it in 1 minute. Reducing TCO by going virtualized, right? NFV, OpenStack, this is what it's all about. And introducing services as intelligent services that use DPI. So this is like as a quick, I won't go on all of this slide. So this is just a quick introduction to the telecom market. So where is Wind River in all of that? So what we are trying to do is being the enabler of that. So this is, I will go over it if whoever comes to track 1, where we are having more time to discuss this slide. But what we are offering is actually a complete NFV solution. Complete NFV solution for a telecom grade, not enterprise, but something which is enable us the availability, the management, the performance, the security of a telecom product. So providing virtualization, which enables us real-time, a very fast virtual switch, carrier-grade Linux, and of course, OpenStack. So we are trying to be the enablers, okay, of these NFV solutions. So whoever of you in this crowd is building an NFV solution, instead of building the entire product, which is supposed to be carrier, supposed to be built from the bottom up as a very reliable kind of a device and high performance device, we are giving those in a first building block for that. A few words about this is a panel for OpenStack in Israel. So just I want to tell you that we have also, as part of Intel investment in R&D of OpenStack, we have here in Israel also a very big development site, more than 20 people working in our facilities in Ra'anana and doing just that, NFV and OpenStack related solutions. Okay, just to sum up, this is the building blocks that we are offering today to the market. So our own WinRX distribution, which has what we call the carrier grade profile, which enable all those functions that enable you to be from the beginning, building a device or building a product which is carrier grade. Open virtualization, which is actually an advanced KVM that enables you much better performance than the open source one, and of course the stability and all the other features that will be required for the NFV. We are offering DPI solution. We are working with whoever knows Cosmos, who is the leading flow analysis engines, and Hyperscan, which is a content inspection, and of course, offering a commercial OpenStack distribution. We're also offering that as a complete package, as a carrier-grade communication service, a complete NFV solution. So this is in a nutshell, and I will discuss more about it in track number 1. So thank you, Nathan.
Thank you very much.